do away with it. If you say you're an African, you have an element of traditional religion with you. And at correct times, as I said, these traditional religion supply you with concepts and structures that helps you to understand both Christianity and Islam.
Is it tradition? Is it a religion or culture?
Is it? Well, there's been a debate now whether it should be African religion or African traditional religion. I don't see any difference in adding traditional or excluding tradition.
Number 4. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, okay. Somebody also brought a question about libation. And in Ghana, there have been a lot of debates about libation. Reverend Bishop Sapon has written something on libation. But from my understanding, libation is the means by which we communicate with God and other spiritual worlds. So it's a means of communication by Africans. In the libation, you don't just communicate. You espouse rituals, spiritual statements, etc., etc. But for me, I see it as a means of communicating with the spiritual realm.
And the question is that really accepted in biblical terms for our Christian faith? I think that's it.
No.
Because libation is communication.
Okay.
And communication with our dead ancestors who are gone. And we call them by name, we tell them, your son is going to do a PhD, be with you, and that kind of thing. And all. We know it is a means of communication. So the real question is, how does that compare with our faith as Christians?
Well, for me, this can go on without a problem. Yeah, for me, this can go on without a problem. Because what we are dealing with is the spiritual realm of the African. And it's very difficult to take him out of that spiritual cosmology when we are dealing with certain issues about life. Yeah. The last one. Yeah. Whether we will have a enabling effect, but bridge, yes, yes, I think so. We can have a enabling effect by assembling these rituals. You see, because what is happening is that African traditional religion has been quarantined, but it still has influence in the way we do our things. So what we are doing now is consciously to bring African traditional religion and ask it these questions. And I believe that it can provide those enabling qualities.
The next round of questions. I hope we are aware that when the European missionary brings Christianity to us, there are things happening when the African accepts this message. What actually happens in him may not be what the bearer of the faith thinks he has brought. Ditto for Islam. And I believe strongly that it's not a matter of a new faith brought out there that has completely wiped out what was there before, the tabula rasa that was mentioned yesterday. Because it's just not possible to do that. Anyway, I think we need a whole session, not session, but a whole conference on what does it mean when the African is converted to Christianity and when the African says he's converted to Islam. I am a Yoruba, even though I'm a Catholic Archbishop. And I have no problem joining my uncles to pour libations to our ancestors. I have no problem with that, like you. Some have. Some people have, but some don't have. Yes. Number one, Anti-Mercy, the big man there, is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oh, wait, for you. Yes, we shall have another round. Don't panic. If you make your questions short and sweet.
Make your questions short and straight from the point. So
and
you can have an
answer also short and sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. My question is this: the Enlightenment Christianity from the West, which most of us adhere to so strictly that we don't even want to hear the word libation, is with us to deal with. Now, contemporary Christianity, in the form of the Charismatics and the Pentecostals, seem to have waken up. All that the Enlightenment Christianity said was bogus and whatever. And because they have woken those things up, they are booming. Now, I want you to examine this situation. The example is, the Enlightenment Christianity says, there are no witches. Forget. The contemporary Christianity says, there are witches. Deal with them. Can you comment on this situation? Which Christianity are we talking about here when we lift up, say, libation? Thank you.
I don't think mine is a question, it's a comment. I'm an African, I'm a Fulani, I was a Muslim, and when I became Christian, it changed my worldview. It changed the way I was understanding the spiritual world. And I don't think that as an African and Christian, I can use any other means to communicate with God but Christ. Yes. So this is what I want to say. Because when we talk in a group, right, can go out and see like, okay, this is what they agree on. I don't agree with what I'm hearing. Okay.
Number 3. Yes.
Thank you, sir. From your reference to preparation for salvation, much has been written about African traditional religion being a substructure to Christianity. But I would appreciate knowing how that has been the case for Islam. If you can maybe suggest one or two affinities between African traditional religion and Islam that has served as preparatory to Africans embracing Islam.
Number 4 or number 5? It's here.
Okay. Thank you very much for that presentation. I have a question that is probably 2 in 1. The part 1 of the question is, my understanding of the African concept of God was a God who is localized in the particular tribe, and that until after studies that were done to see the similarities of how these different tribes view the supreme God,